And welcome back to part 16 of Shin Megami Tensei 3, where today we're finally leaving the Ikebukuro tunnels by going through this stone cave bit here. Well, you don't have to, you can go around, but it's easier for you guys to follow along. From the save, make a left and keep on going straight until we're back at the railroad, and then just take the station up and out to the surface. Now that everything's done here and we've got what we needed. But we're going into Asakusa. We are going to the mannequin's homeland, so to speak. I like to imagine that all the souls here that tell you about the tunnel system and whatnot are all voiced by Ray Chase. You just can't hear him. Demons grow restless. Oh, that's because I put on a repulse spell. So they wouldn't get disturbed by encounters. The reason why I used a repulse spell is so I could make it so it was a full moon by just running back and forth for the boss fight, where having it being a full moon gives you a better advantage with it. But this video, for once, is going to be a tiny bit shorter than the rest. It's not going to be another 40-odd minute video. It's going to be under half an hour, which is great for me, because it means I actually get it done a bit quicker, and it can be uploaded and good to go sooner, and yada yada. But it's a bit shorter, but despite that, it doesn't mean it's going to be less content. We've got 2 boss fights today. The first one is really mean. The first one is really goddamn mean. There's another... Now we've got the Horsemen of the Apocalypse available, because we activated them by doing the second Culpa. The menorah will radiate the moment you step foot in Asakusa. And you might have gathered by now, the way it works is the moment you step foot in somewhere that has a fiend spot, it will then radiate. So it just means in this zone, there's a point where if we stand, it will trigger it. It's blocking the save terminal. I am not kidding. You can go to the other 3 places, so go to the Fountain of Life, do some shopping, but if you want to save, you can't. The fiend is blocking the path.
Oh, that okay?
And that is just, it's so mean. But there's actually a second Horseman that's become available to us as well, so as soon as we are done with this one, we'll go to the next one. The 3rd and 4th won't show up for a teeny tiny while yet, but they are triggered to show up when we get far enough in the plot to do so don't worry, we'll get to them. God, Hellfire, that's a good song in Strive. It's one that I'm seeing a lot of people kind of overlook compared to all the other songs in Guilty Gear Strive, but Hellfire's great. It's a lot more aggressive and meaty compared to a lot of the other tracks. It doesn't quite have the same flow the other ones do. But it is a good track. And I'm getting distracted already. We haven't even got to the first proper boss fight here. See, I need to break that mindset. I don't know why in this playthrough specifically. I know it's because I know what demons I'm after, yada yada. But I'm not using the compendium at all. I'm not going into the Cathedral of Shadows ever. But yeah, let's hang around to the thing blocking the goddamn save.
We meet again. It is the will of the menorahs, longing for but a single owner. They call out to each other and bring us together. If you can defeat all the fiends and reunite the menorahs, then so you should. But if you lack the strength to do so, then you will fall by my arrow. Attack me, you coward! I will not allow defending.
All 4 of the Horsemen have a similar gimmick where they will summon allies, and the allies will kind of make or break the fight for them versus you. The first couple aren't so bad. These guys will just spam heal if you let them. So just kind of keep them checked, and you should be fine. The only thing to be wary of is if they die, and it's the same with almost every Horseman, I think. If they die, the Horseman will immediately follow with a Dragon Eye so they can summon another 2. So you have to kind of weigh up how worth it is to prioritize killing them, but at the same time, if you don't, they will start healing, so you need to kind of alternate between focusing group-wide and focusing signature. If they're not healing, though, they will be nerfing you, and they'll be prioritizing your defense, so you need to try and kind of balance it out, either by having Dakaja or just equaling out the stat difference. I get Daisoja on Warcry and duty, and myself on Full Breath duty, just so then their hit and evasion are minuscule, and even if they do hit, they're doing little damage. And then I can just continue the onslaught with Zan-based skills. Because the angels are weak to Zan, you can exploit that to get more hits. But this is what I mean. Now it's dead, it will use Dragon Eye, which gives it 4 extra turns, and it will then spend 2 of them to get 2 more virtues up, and then it still has 3 more turns to do what it wants. So I take another Rakunda. Oh, 2 Rakundas, Jesus. Getting outweighed on defense lowering. It's a good thing I lowered their attack with Warcry. So see, you're going to start seeing me weigh up how worth it is to boost my defense when I've already lowered these guys' attacks and hit and evasion so much. And eventually the decision just becomes, I stop bothering. It's like, well, they're not hitting me anyway, so I can take that risk. Preferably, if you have Dakaja, that will be a godsend for you, because you can let it lower your defense a little bit and then just nullify it. But it prioritizes your defense in its nerfing. So alternatively, there's nothing stopping you from just prioritizing boosting everything else for yourself, like boosting your hit and evasion, or boosting your attack to try and kill the threats quicker. And the reason why I'm spamming meditation is because not only because it's a good MP restoring, but because it's Almighty based. And as I said before, Almighty is non-elemental magic, so it cannot be resisted or weak to. It will just hit. So you can use that to your advantage to just make it guaranteed damage, even if it's not much. Because that is the thing, it will never be too much. Even if you lower the enemy's defense a lot, you won't be doing mad damage. The thing that makes a meditation so strong is what it does for you, not what it does to the enemy. But you're seeing here, this is what I mean, I'm making more of a priority to kill now. But unfortunately, it's only if you kill one, it will result in the battle plan of calling Angel. So if you're going to kill one virtue, at least kill the other to make it so it wastes another turn. Because this is what you're going to start having to put up with. It's going to start healing if you leave one alive for too long. But thankfully it uses an attack that, 2 of us heal because it's fire based. Boost to defense. I'm kind of trying to balance it out, but it doesn't last forever. But while we're doing the pattern of this fight, today is Tuesday, and so more E3 stuff have come and gone. Capcom. No, the thing is, the only reason I'm not a tad disappointed with Capcom is solely because they opened it up. Like, they broke down exactly what they were going to talk about, so I was never going to be disappointed because they made it very clear what they were going to talk about for everything but the last thing. The last thing they said they were going to talk about is from the Capcom fighting game division. And so everyone went, oh, there's a surprise from the Capcom fighting game division? They're going to maybe announce a new character for Street Fighter V since that last character is yet to be revealed? Or maybe they're working on something else or anything. But they're working on something else is a very long stretch. I was pretty adamant it was going to be Street Fighter V's last character. Just so when it got to it, to just be, oh, we're going to talk about esports. And they literally just sit there talking about esports for 5 minutes and then they wrap up. And I'm like, ugh. That hurt a little bit. If they just said, oh, we're going to have an esports talk at the end, I wouldn't have cared. But the fact that they said we've got just something from the Capcom fighting game division and then it was an esports talk is what made it a tad disappointing. But the rest of the show, like I said, it was exactly what they said it would be, so I wasn't disappointed in that sense. They made it clear they were talking about Resident Evil Village, and they did. They announced that due to popular demand, they're doing DLC, which hurt a little bit, because I was like, wow, Devil May Cry 5 fans had to literally strangle Capcom for 18 months straight to get Virgil. And we wanted far more than just Virgil. We wanted Virgil to have his own campaign, and we just got the character again. And so how much effort we had to make just to get that, and yet Resident Evil, the actual money maker for Capcom, even though Devil May Cry sold millions. No, that one, the game's been out like, what, a month or two? And it's just immediate, oh no, due to popular demand, DLC's coming. Oh, Jesus. The Great Ace Attorney, I'm sure will be fine. I did enjoy, I played the original trilogy, and I know of the rest of them. Like, I know, like, who you play as, like, who the investigator is, who the, like, enemies, so to speak, are. Like, I know the cases, I just haven't played them. And so, like, I'll probably pick up Grace Ace Attorney. You can, Great Ace Attorney. I can't speak today. I haven't been sleeping too well. If you might have noticed, it's the odd sound you might hear in the background. It's the full blast of summer here in the UK, so I have my windows open. But because it's the super hot blast of summer, I haven't been sleeping well. I keep on waking up at stupid o'clock, so I'm just tired. And if you're watching this and going, why not just put on the air conditioning? The UK is built to withstand the cold, not the hot. Every house is built to trap in all the heat, no matter what, and no house has air conditioning in the UK. Because we have stronger colds than we do hots, in terms of weather. And so every house is like super compressed and refined, and there's a truck passing by, so you might have heard that, and insulated so they keep warm in the winter. So in the winter we do fine, but in the summer we're screwed because it's all that heat's trapped in anyway, and we don't have any aircon to balance it out. But we got a cutscene, so I need to shut up.
It took a while, but I was finally able to pinpoint the route to this terminal. Not bad for an ordinary human, eh? Oh yeah, I found out something interesting about Asakusa. The mannequins are actually created nearby, using black mud scooped up from the riverbank. No wonder they're so adamant about fixing up the place. It's practically their home. Anyway, like I suspected, the terminal here is free from Neolo surveillance. It's perfect for monitoring their activities and finding out about the nightmare system. I'll need a little time to investigate, but it shouldn't take too long to find out everything we need to know. That being said, why don't you go look around for a while?
Your objective now is exactly what he said. Just look around. There are 2 specific cutscenes that you can trigger if you go through Asakusa. At the end of the main path, the path splits left and right. If you take the right path all the way to the end, you'll eventually find a little cutscene. But if you go left and take it all the way, you'll find another cutscene. Once you've viewed both, return to this save point, and you will get to find out where to go next. But, as I said before, we're not really going to explore it today.
Welcome to the cathedral.
Really? Like, we're going to do a little bit, but not much, because we've got another boss fight coming. Oh, and I do actually finally come back and do a bit more fusing, and I even include sacrificing. And sacrificing is probably the thing I do the absolute least in this game. But there's going to be a couple instances, and this demon here kind of becomes a good example of what I mean, where I start fusing demons solely to either act as backup if any of my main members die, or to be fusion material for something else greater later on. Which is kind of what that demon is. That demon, like, I keep it in my party a little bit, but I very quickly bench it because my ultimate intention was more to have it be useful material later. Also, I get my 10th lucky ticket, so I get to show what this is about. When you buy significant amount 10 times, you get tickets. You pick a box at random, and you could get something terrible or something decent. I got a Obama Rising, which is a full revive and heal. But when you return to it, if you want to go straight for the next Horseman, you can. Go to the underpass of Ginza, because that's where he's waiting for you. And you'll notice, the moment you leave, the menorah starts reacting, or starts flickering wildly. It's literally right here. The second and third Horsemen, they all seem like they're just kind of out of nowhere, and it's like, well, how would you work out they're there? But if you talk to people around, you can work it out. They will say, oh, there's been some strange thing around the underpass.
So you're still alive, eh? You actually managed to defeat one of us. Very impressive. But I won't be as easy as the White Knight. My crimson armor shall glisten with your blood. Death be unto you, demi-fiend! Your madness is my joy. Shall we begin?
And to jump ahead a little bit, you'll also eventually start hearing people talk about where the third one is, which is the Shinjuku Medical Center. Yeah, we're going all the way back to the very start for the third one. but he's not there yet, so we're going to get him later when he is available. And ultimately, if you can't find the people to talk to, or if you get a hint from someone and you're really not sure what the hell they're on about, if you recall, in the first Kalpa of the Labyrinth of Amala, when you enter the floor, if you make a right and go past, and just keep on going right, past the door where the Shady Broker is, past where the grave is on your right, there's a door right at the end where there's a soul that's like half human, half demonic, that said will tell you where fiends are if they're around. If you talk to her, she will tell you there's one around on the underpass. And then once you've done, if you go back to her, she'll say, well, currently there isn't any. And then just after the next major dungeon, return there and talk again until she says, yeah, there is one. That's the ultimate rundown you'll be doing. Every time if you're really not, if you're not following a guide or anything, and it's not your second playthrough onwards, and you're still trying to work out where everything is, returning to her after every dungeon is a smart idea. Because most dungeons in the game, upon completion, alter things in the world map. And it's not just altering things for plot, they will alter things for side quests as well. There's a dungeon later on called the Obelisk, and that one is a perfect example of what I mean. So much smaller things change the moment that dungeon is done. So like as soon as that dungeon's done, there's going to be a video of me basically just sidetracking because of doing everything that opens up. But this fight, similar to the past, has the whole 2 angels it summons that do things for it. But these guys, as far as I can remember, don't heal. They're more buff focused. But this break has Bolt Storm, so if you have anything that resists or blocks electricity, you're getting it. But these guys are buff guys. These guys will just boost stats all the time. So if you have Daisojo with Warcry, you'll do fine in that sense, because you can just Warcry and then anytime you run out of MP, react to it with meditation. And because we've got prayer now as well, Daisojo can, like I said, just continue to be self-sustaining. But the reason why I made Okunishi is so then I can have 2 war cries, so then like for at least early on in the match, in the fight, I can really keep on top of the whole attack buff things to make it so the buffs that it's doing are worthless in the long run, because I can still lower their attack by 4 whole stages if I have both Daisojo and Gokunushi Warcry at the same time. And you can see at this point I'm still trying to work out what the weaknesses of the angels are, which is why I'm rotating through different skills. But I'd say that this one's easier than the last one. The 3rd and 4th one can both be pretty difficult in their own way, but the 1st and 2nd Horsemen really aren't that bad. But so I find this one easier than the 1st, just because the 1st one has the healing and it can lower your defense. So if you don't get on top of the Warcry like immediately, you can be weakened and then cleaned up. But this fight just takes a while, but it's really not that bad. Similar to, like I said before, with every Horseman, when the minions die, it will respond with the Dragon Eye and then call them back and get its power soldiers back. Hey! Oh! To be fair, at least it's physical attack and not boosting hit and evasion. Enemies that boost hit and evasion, like Matador, are where the real threats start to show up, because if you don't keep on top of it, you just end up falling so far behind that you can't stop it. Unless you have a Dakaja or Dakunda, whichever way round it is for dealing with enemy buffs. Well, yeah, I think it's Dakaja that's enemy buffs. But it's why I'm pushing for Fog Breath a lot as well, because then I can dodge things like Terrorblade. Because Terrorblade, also Counter still does its thing, because Terrorblade is physical based. Terrorblade can inflict status conditions, but it's not often. Something that might be worth doing though, and I recommend it, is equipping a Magatama that is immune to light instead. Like, if you don't have a demon that's immune to electric, maybe go for a light one as well. Because although it's very unlikely, the fact that there's still a slim chance that one of them could Hame on you directly and click it, and just instant kill you then and there, might be enough for you to want to have that safety blanket, even if it's unlikely. Like, if you don't trust your luck, you might want to go for it. I do alright, so I get lucky, I don't die here. As in my first, I mentioned it many parts ago, but my first actual death to this, it's on recording, but it's not for a little while later, but it is a similar situation where an off-the-cuff Mudoon hit me for no reason. It's like just someone just happened to use it, and it happened to be on me, and it happened to connect it, and that was just it. But that's still not in for a little while later. And what I mean is that now we've done the second Kalpa. To gain access to the third Kalpa, we need 3 new candelabrums. We need 3 new menorahs. The first one we got from the previous one. This is the second one. So when we deal with the third Horseman, we'll get access to it. And then the 4th and final Kalpa requirement is the 4th floor, because the 5th floor doesn't have any Kalpa requirements. To get access to the 4th floor, you need the 4th Horseman, Dante, or Rido if you're playing that version, Mother Harlot, and Trumpeter. Yeah, like all 4 of those, when you realize what the final 4 are, you sit there and go, oh god. The strongest, the most difficult of the Horsemen, it's like that's terrifying in of itself. Because the 4th Horseman is the bullshit one. If you play on hard, and especially if you're trying to do a low level run on hard, the 4th Horseman is the Apocalypse. He's one of the hardest fights in the game. Because the minions he summons can self-destruct, and the self-destruction explosion just does ridiculous damage. And so on hard, especially if you're doing a low level run on hard, it's a one-shot kill guaranteed. Even if you lowered like their attack and boost your defense, it will just wipe. It's like, it's complete bullshit. But then it's Dante or Rido, depending on what version you're playing. Which, to be fair, you're not gonna have it by the time you get to the 4th floor. Like, you're guaranteed, if you're going for it, to have your second fight against Dante or Rido where you do that by then, so don't stress about it. Like, you don't worry about missing that one. Mother Harlot, or just called The Harlot in the original translation of the game, which is an odd thing that the original translation was that, even though it's always been Mother Harlot in the Japanese version. They just, I guess, there was either a bit of confusion or they wasn't sure if it would be taken a different way or whatever. But they corrected to Mother Harlot in the HD remaster. Also, look at that counter damage, my goodness. And then it's Trumpeter. And if you've ever played a Shin Megami Tensei game, you know that Trumpeter is a threat. You know Trumpeter is a threat. And to be fair, the gimmick with Trumpeter is the most dangerous. And I've yet to fight Trumpeter in this recording. I'm not that far ahead yet. To give you an idea of how far ahead I am, I have just beat Mother Harlot. So I am, like, that's why I keep on saying I'm like 2 or 3 dungeons from the end. Because I am. It's just Trumpeter is like right on the cusp of near the end. It's like you do Trumpeter and then it's like 2 dungeons and then the finale. Which is why after Trumpeter's done, I'm going to be making a beeline to get the 4th and 5th Kalpa done, just so I can lock in my ending and not have to worry about it later. It's like bonk. At this point, I'm pushing to kill the Horsemen more than anything, because the Angel minions, other than the fact that they have Hameon, really isn't a threat. But this fucker will use Dekunda from time to time as well, and completely reset themselves to get some free attack buffs in. So it becomes a bit of a, do you want to try and push for the kill ultimately, or do you want to prioritize finding other ways of dealing with it? Like, it might be an idea to instead prioritize going physical. And just boosting your physical attack, and then just having Demi-Fiend punch the shit out of them. And because I brought Okunishi with you, another good physical attacker, maybe having that one push as well. But I get a free crit out there with thanks to Gold Might. And the boss is done, so it wasn't too bad. It just takes a while. They always do. Oh, look at that experience too. Fighting any of the fiends is always worth it for the experience drop. Oh yeah, at this point I'm pushing full vitality. But I do go back to strength and lock it up to 30 just so it's done, but not yet. And we get Preach, Daisojo's final skill, which Preach is a group-wide attack that is based on Nerve, which Nerve is status conditions. So it will do base damage, but it will also try and inflict status conditions. So although it's not a heavy damage dealing attack, it can be quite handy for basic encounters if you can just make them confused or charmed or whatever, so they're not really attacking you. But returning to Asakusa, yeah, like after this fight, I was like, okay, you served your purpose. I'm getting rid of you. Time to get Kushinada. And Kushinada, Kushinada I end up with for a while, a lot longer than I intended. But when I was recording ahead, there was a point where I kind of looked back and went, Kushinada hasn't learned a new skill in like 6 levels because I've just kept a hold of her for some reason. I need to drop her and and get Sati. And I think I get Sati, but then don't drop her. I keep her around. But the reason why you want Sati is because Sati is a demon that will evolve. So you not only do you get a good set of skills, but then once it's got all its skills, it will evolve into another demon that also has its own good set of skills. And then there's nothing stopping you from, you know, just re-summoning Sati and continuing on. Down here, there's a collector mannequin, and this path is currently blocked, but he will let you know that once it's unblocked, he's going to open up a shop. And you want to pay attention to that, because this is the collector who helped us out before. He was the one that we had to get the 1,000 yen bill for, and it's the one that we saved in the prison. And so he wants to pay us back for it. He will sell you free Magatamas if you can get if you go to his shop and remember to for all your trouble. Oh, it's you. Do you remember me? We met in the Great Underpass. How have you been? All right? Yeah, I'm good. I see. We're doing well living in Asakusa. It's all thanks to Futo Mimi's leadership. Futo Mimi's are in our holy land of Mifunashiro. I got there in the end. Yeah, we're going to go check out Mifunashiro in a bit. But this is the part where I was on about, where the path splits both left and right. If you go left, there's a mannequin here that will tell you that there's a ruthless, aggressive, sadistic mannequin running around cutting up people. And if you go over here, it will tell you about Mifunashiro, telling you which path leads to what cutscene, essentially. If you go this way, you'll ultimately end up in Mifunashiro. If you go the other way, you'll ultimately learn more about that sadist. Or that murderer. But the way it works is that it's not like it's one big connected town. It's a bunch of little areas in a collective space. So you're going to be going from Asakusa to the Asakusa bit over here to the Asakusa bit over there. That sort of idea. Like, you're constantly going to go from the world map to the Asakusa to the world map to Asakusa as you work your way through. And you're probably sitting here going, well, we're just going to be running around today, right? So after that, we can do more of the video. No, the reason why I cut this video short in a minute, is because there's another Magatama we can get right now, and I'm going to get it. And it's the hardest part of the goddamn game. It's that third door, the furthest door from us on that corner. You go in there, and you are challenged to something. Something of absolute infamy to any Shin Megami Tensei 3 fan who's tried to go for 100%. You are challenged to go 20 rounds in Puzzle Boy. And if you're sitting there and going, what? Trust me, you'll get a better understanding of it in the next video. But I spent 3 hours working it out. Also, I panic a little bit, because I'm like, oh god, if it just got me. And no, it just got Kushi. So Kushi's very first fight is terrible. The very first fight in action, she's dead. And I was like, well, that's great. A lift over's alright, but no. I was like, god damn it, Kush. Get you back in. And I guess heal. Even though to jump the gun, I didn't save. The last time I saved, I just loaded that. I didn't run back and saved after I finished this recording, so I knew I would just be doing it. And I only did like one fight in between, so I was like, I can get the level up again, it's fine. But this room, this is Puzzle Boy. It is something that if you're not following a guide for, you're gonna spend real goddamn long time. I've done it before a number of times, so it only took me 3 hours. But that's still 3 hours of my life I didn't get back. But that is what we will be discussing and talking about in the next video. So until then, you guys take care now. Peace.